604 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, JP producing. We are, starting you off at 68 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge, broadcasting live from the 180 Pros studio. 180 Pros, not your IT provider, your IT partner. Like we said, starting you off on a very, very, very foggy morning. Obviously, we are going to want to make sure we are doing our level best to stay ahead of that. Book yourself a couple of extra minutes on the morning drive. Visibility is limited. More on that as the show wears on. More on a lot as the show wears on. We got Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3 to talk about. We got Jeff Crouere hopping on board. We're going to talk about ICE agents in New Orleans. Eric Dexter, that's the Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3 segment. We're going back to our affordable health coverage from yesterday that we're supposed to have Joel White on. Mason Batts from the mayor's office going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Looking forward to this conversation. Layoffs are on the way, y'all. City parish going to have to cut back. Where does that happen? How does it play out? We'll talk with Mason coming up at 8:15, and then Congressman Troy Carter, a little DC Current presented by LABI. Right now, though, top stories and trending. Let's get it.
Number 5.
Is it a troll job or a sales pitch? Either way, I'm here for it. Full page advertisement published in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, paid for by Louisiana's Economic Development Department, urged New Yorkers to move to Louisiana in the wake of Zoran Mondami's mayoral election victory. In large, bold lettering, the ad's headline reads, "In Louisiana, we value capitalism, not socialism."
Number 4.
At least 200 immigration agents are expected to be deployed in New Orleans by the end of the week, according to ABC News. Those agents are currently conducting an immigration enforcement operation in Charlotte, North Carolina, called Operation Charlotte's Web. Agents have reportedly made 130 arrests in Charlotte so far.
Number 3.
Former Louisiana House Speaker Clay Schechtner was arrested yesterday on felony charges filed last week related to the disappearance of an ancient cypress board that is considered a state artifact. The board was last seen in his Gonzales legislative office. He was booked into the parish prison on charges of felony theft over $25,000 and felony malfeasance in office. I got to reach out. This is, there's a unbelievably simple answer for this, right? That there's something simple behind the whole thing. And then they're going to rip somebody's mask off like at the end of a Scooby-Doo episode.
Number 2.
At least 200 city parish jobs are on the line after the plan to move a little money around and fill budget holes failed Saturday night. Yesterday afternoon, Mayor President Sid Edwards announced cuts have already started in his office, though he hasn't announced which positions, as he works to reduce his budget by 12%. Like we said, Mason Batts from the mayor's office is going to be on board at 8:15 to talk about it.
Number 1.
Last public meeting was last night, Monday. Residents gathered at the Shaw Center for the Arts to listen to the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and Sasaki present proposed projects for Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3, a master plan for the downtown area. Eric Dexter from BRAF going to join us at 7:15. This is what we'll be talking about there.
A plane flew from Oxford, Mississippi to Baton Rouge on Monday. Reportedly, was carrying members of Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin's family for a tour of the city as LSU searches for a new head football coach.
We will pick this one up at 6:55. Talk about it a little bit right there.
Yeah.
Was Lane Kiffin with them, or was it just family members touring around? What you got to watch for here is not the plane from Oxford. It's the plane that's either coming in from LA or from Nashville.
Okay.
Because that's the one that's going to have Jimmy Sexton on it. Super agent Jimmy Sexton. He's got offices in Los Angeles. He's got offices in Nashville. So when you see that plane come into Baton Rouge, that's the one where the ink will be put to paper and contracts will be written.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, Lane Kiffin's right now deciding between 3 different colleges?
Yeah. Well, I mean, really everything's on the table, but the big 3 players are either State, Ole Miss, go here, or go to Florida.
Okay.
Which, it's going to take a ridiculous amount of money. I'm so not I'll be happy if we get him, but at the same time, I will be happy with whatever dollars we would be overpaying a coach we just put into the roster.
Hey, there you
I
go.
would rather an up and coming coach with an extra $10 million to spend on players than an $18 million head coach.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
In other news, this afternoon, the House of Representatives is scheduled to vote on a measure that would compel the Justice Department to release all its files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
6:25 is where we're going to play back some cuts. House Speaker Mike Johnson was on with Moon Griffon yesterday. We'll play back a little bit of them right there, talking about Epstein and talking about a few other things. It was a very quick hit interview, but we'll cover as much ground as we can with it.
Looking forward to it. Circling back to football, the NFL suspended former LSU and current Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver for spitting on an opposing player, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter.
So this would be Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Yeah.
One game suspension, no
former
pay.
LSU Tiger, former Rummel Raider, Jamar Chase. Yeah, I still don't I thought I'm pretty sure he denied that he did it.
Yeah.
But everything's on video. I mean, you can't get away with anything in the NFL.
No.
There's better security on an NFL field. There's better video coverage of an NFL field than there is of the U.S. Capitol.
Oof. Yeah, apparently he spat on Pittsburgh Steelers, allegedly spat on Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
So,
all right, well, sit out a game. Fine. We're at 6:10 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We got a little bit of Frank Wilson's press conference coming up after the break. Also, LSU women's basketball highlights. That'll be coming up after the break. LSU women took it to Tulane last night. Sorry. Wow. Where'd that come from? Took it to Tulane last night. They got out early. They stayed out the whole game. Stayed out well out in front the whole game. Sloppy second half. We'll talk about it after the break on Talk 107.3. I'll go down during the next break to get my coffee because during this break, I got to tell you what highlights we want. Unless I can do this quicker than I want to. We're really only going to have time for one. So Flaugier hit 22. Malaysia Full Wiley hit 20. Can we squeeze two of them out of this? Let's start off with 1.1. And $3.1. All right. I can get my coffee.
I do, yes. You need the title for him? All right. Good morning, Facebook crew. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning, Kimberly. See you up in the chat. All right, that's it. All right. Morning, everybody. Hope you all are doing well.
First one was on Michael Van Buren's performance, and the second one was on what? Okay. All right. $6:14, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. LSU has got Western Kentucky this week. 6-4 on the season with a non-conference game on the slate. I don't blame you if you're not excited. But we did have a quarterback that's going to probably be around next year. So how did he look last week? As we, if nothing else, we could start to prep for the 2026 Tigers. Frank Wilson spoke with the media yesterday, and here was his performance of Michael Van Buren.
I thought Michael's body of work was imperfect, but yet something that we can certainly build on. Again, there were things early in the game, and it's different, right? It's always different when you are the guy that's coming off the bench. The pressure is different. The expectation is different. It was a first in Tiger Stadium for Michael, and so it took a minute for it to digest. I think he settled down well. He would want some of those throws back that he makes routinely, because we purposely didn't ask him to do anything over the top. We're going to give you simple ones. And even that, it could become challenging for you in your debut in Tiger Stadium. But I thought he finished in a flurry. I thought he was willing to do whatever it took to help us win the football game. He delivered and gave his best when his best was needed.
Which means that he has not yet hit the ceiling. We're going to see, or hit his ceiling, I should say. We're going to see a lot of really good things out of him, hopefully. I was super impressed with the performance. And yeah, you could, interim coach Wilson encapsulates it right there. As the game went on, so did his confidence raise. So I'll take that all day long for sure, and grow with it. In the meanwhile, not really going to break down Western Kentucky a whole lot this week. It is a non-conference opponent, which means maybe looking ahead a little bit. There used to be a time when looking forward to a bowl game was a big deal. Not so much anymore. There's value in a bowl game, though. Here's what the coach had to say.
It's a big deal for us. When you think of your program holistically and the continuous opportunity to develop your team, the longer and the more you can practice, there's development, there's engagement, there's cohesiveness that happens with your football team. And so we'd like to play into January to advance our football team, to keep the camaraderie and the building of a program that we think is on our horizon, right? At a time in year when some people are getting weary, our football team is building steam. And so from a week ago to this week to this upcoming week versus Western Kentucky, we're eager to play. We're chopping at the bit to get better, to prove ourselves and beyond.
It's basically like having a second round of spring practice, or having a round of spring practices before spring, I guess you could say. It's definitely a reason to keep some guys on the roster that might be looking at the transfer portal, although you're not going to know that until it's time. Meanwhile, like we said, we do have Kentucky coming up, Western Kentucky coming up this week. The Hilltoppers are not a bad ball club. They're 8-2 overall, which is impressive to be sure. They're second in Conference USA. When you're 8-2 overall, they're 2 losses if you're curious. They lost to Toledo in the third week of the season, and they lost to Florida International, FIU, about 4 games ago. They've got wins over Louisiana Tech. They beat Louisiana Tech 28-27. And that is our only common opponent, if I'm not mistaken. So it will be a 6:45 kickoff on SEC Network, and of course on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Meanwhile, LSU women took care of Tulane last night, 101-71, your final score there. Tigers got up 33-10 in the first quarter. That's a heck of a way to start. They were led in scoring by Flau'jae Johnson, who also got off to an early start.
Richard right wing to Johnson. She'll take an open three. Count it. Flau'jae Johnson has been red hot on threes. That is a Bengal Pest Product three-pointer. She, for the season, is now 11 of 17. She's got all 5, and it's 5-2 LSU.
Believe it or not, Flau'jae was better from the three-point line than she was the free throw line last night, which is unusual for LSU. Normally, they're pretty solid with the free throws. Flau'jae was 2 of 3 from beyond the arc last night, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. She was 9 of 13 from the floor overall for 22 points. Flaugier did lead the team in scoring. She was followed by Malaysia Fulwiley, who had not only 20 points, but 8 steals as well. And sometimes you combine the both of those.
Sneed working on Zakiya Johnson. Now Fulwiley pops out to get her. 10 to shoot for them. And Fulwiley knocks it away. She's got another steal. She's going to head to the bucket and lay it in again. 4 steals for Fulwiley.
She's so smart in how she plays that passing lane.
And for the most part, she does it without fouling.
Patrick Wright
60
and
to
China
34.
Williams on the call for the LSU Sports Radio Network. LSU's women will be back at it again on the 20th. That's Thursday against Alcorn State. We're going to start with cut 3, by the way. All right. Fog, obviously a huge problem this morning. As it it's so thick out there. Let's go ahead and start you off on I-10 eastbound coming in from Port Allen, or coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish. We do have an accident, an accident in the roadway from about 30 minutes ago on the bridge. I believe it's on the bridge because we're looking at delays on Port Allen, not only on I-10 eastbound, but on Highway 1 northbound. As you're hopping on a 10, you're going to find some delays there as well. The accident's being reported 10 in between Port Allen and the Highland Nicholson exit, so that would kind of just be the bridge, wouldn't it? Moving over to I-12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs, we do have more than usual volume at this point. It's obviously not enough to make you want to change your route, but you're going to have a lot of neighbors on the road out there on 12 westbound coming in, not only around Rage Avenue, but right after O'Neill Lane. The congestion picks back up again. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looks good. 110 looks good as well. Surface streets, nothing to there's one accident to report. Has been moved off the roadway. It is nowhere near anything that's anywhere close to anyone's morning drive. It's Adela Street at North 25th. Yeah, didn't tell you, but it's on the board, so I do tell you. That's your look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. What have I done to hurt you? Easy lover should get a hold on you, believe it. $624, about to roll over to 625 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, going to join us about 10 minutes from right now. Did a convicted murderer whose conviction was thrown out get elected to a public office in New Orleans? Yes. Yes, they did. That happened. We'll talk about it. Also, ICE agents on the ground. If their operation in Charlotte is called Operation Charlotte's Web, what do we call it in New Orleans? Talk about all that coming up with Jeff Crouere coming up in just a little bit. Do need to remind you about 180 Pros, 180pros.com, 180pros.com. Not your IT provider, your IT partner. Their success is based off of your success. And when it comes to 180 Pros, what are you getting that's different? I mean, like everybody's got the tech, right? Everybody can promise you the tech in. What they can't promise you is that same day response time. What they can't promise you is that when you call 330-2200, you're going to get someone local, which is unbelievably valuable. Of course, you're going to get the, CJIS certified compliance, tailored IT solutions, cybersecurity services. They've got it all. 180pros.com if you want to look them up online. 180pros.com. Moon Griffon had House Speaker Mike Johnson on his show yesterday. And I had a soundbite roster. Here we go. Moon Griffon had House Speaker Mike Johnson on his show yesterday for a brief, what was it, like an 11-minute interview. Super quick. But a lot got covered. Will we have another shutdown? We'll get to that in a minute. But first, there's no way we don't start off by talking about the Epstein files. This is what everyone is talking about, will be talking about. In fact, this afternoon, there should be a vote on the House floor. Here was Mike Johnson talking about why we have not yet seen all of the files.
I've talked to the president about this a lot, as you can imagine. And he and I discussed this personally a few days ago. I said, Mr. President, the reason that you and I have been opposed to this discharge petition, okay, this is the Democrats teaming up with 4 Republicans who want to stick their thumb in President Trump's eye, okay? So they teamed up and they did a discharge. A discharge is to go around the speaker and force something to the floor. The reason we objected to that method of the release of the files is because it's terribly dangerous. They wrote it in a haphazard manner. They don't adequately protect the victims of these crimes. Their names can be uncovered and all that kind of stuff. It's got all kinds of flaws. I could give you 30 minutes of all the problems with it. But here's the thing. It's also totally unnecessary because the House Oversight Committee has been working for months to dig in, compile the files, and release them instantaneously to the public. So there's over 50,000 pages of Epstein files now out on the internet. Anybody can Google it right now and read them themselves, including his personal logs, his travel logs, his daily calendar, his financial ledgers, all that stuff. So this little political gambit they're playing is unnecessary. But the president came out last night and he said, I have nothing to hide. I never have. Just rip the Band-Aid off and do it. And we'll fix that discharge petition in the Senate. So that's what we're going to do in the House. We're going to explain why we have been opposed to this method, but we're also going to say we are for maximum transparency. We always have been.
50,000 pages of nothing is 50,000 pages of nothing. I mean, it's until we see the pages that include like names, until there's implications, and until there's like, until we have a list of these are the people who went, like, and this is what they did when they were there. I don't think anybody's gonna be satisfied. So you can say 50,000 pages all day long. We're not gonna be satisfied as a populace until it's all out there. Meanwhile, are we going to have another shutdown? Mike Johnson talked about that.
No, we won't. And here's the great news. Okay, so when the president signed the bill to reopen the government on Wednesday night, last Wednesday, I was standing next to him. We finally got it done triumphantly. We gave nothing to the Democrats. We did exactly what we said we were going to do in the beginning. But included in that, the only thing that was included in the continuing resolution was 3 appropriations bills. So we got the military construction VA bill, we got the legislative branch, we got the agriculture bill signed into law. That is a huge achievement.
Okay, but is that all that's needed to run the government? No. Johnson continued spelling out what else there is to do, but he also continued by talking about what it is in those 3 spending bills that would keep the government open.
We got 3 of the 12 appropriations bills signed into law last Wednesday night. Now we got 9 left. So we're working. It's like pushing a boulder uphill, man. I'm trying to get the Senate and the House to do their dang work and get these bills finished. I'm very optimistic we can get most of them done before the new deadline of January 30th. And whatever's left on the table, it'll be minor things, I think, and hope. Then if we have to do a CR for the rest of that for the year, we just will. But you're not going to have troop pay hanging in the balance and, TSA agents and air traffic controllers and SNAP benefits and all that. It'll all be taken care of.
How am I doing on time? I don't have a clock on this side. Okay, well, then we're going to have to bag that 4th cut for later on in the show. In the meanwhile, here comes ABC News, local news after that, traffic, weather. We'll connect with Jeff Crouere coming up next on Talk 107.3 FM. Yeah, I can't get to time.is. It's got an internal server error, which is not our problem. It's theirs. Right. That's him. Not too late to get in on Mathern's Catering. If you need a little help this Thanksgiving, and who doesn't need a little help this Thanksgiving, whether you talk about filling out those sides or the turkey or the whole spread, they've got you covered. Mathern's has got catering still available. It's not too late to get your order in now. Mathern's.com. Mathern's.com is where you want to go for that. Or if you've got the app, if you've got the Mathern's mobile app, you can do it right from your phone. Highland Road location, just west of Kenilworth. Nicholson Drive location, directly across the street from Tiger Stadium. Mathern's has got you covered. Lighten that load a little bit this Thanksgiving with Mathern's. All right, a New Orleans man who spent 3 decades in prison before his murder conviction was vacated won election Saturday to serve as the city's chief criminal court record keeper. How? Joining us now to talk about this, Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. How are you, man?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Jeff. Okay, Calvin Duncan, how does this happen?
You know, it's an incredible story. I mean, he went from Angola to now being on Tulane and Broad in an elected position, not in prison. And, you know, he had pretty much all of the political establishment against him were for his opponent. And you know, he pulled off an incredible victory. So got to give him that. I mean, he's had, you know, the odds against him for a long time, and he's overcome them. And, you know, his judge overturned his murder conviction. He spent 3 decades in Angola, and but he's used that to, you know, propel himself to this position. I mean, this is a nationwide story. This is a big deal.
I'm reading about it on CNN's website. So, yeah, it is a big deal. He didn't just win. Dude got 68% of the vote.
Yeah, he 2-1, over 2-1. Yeah. And you know, as they say, he did the homework. I mean, he worked it. He went out there and went to every meeting he could, every forum he could. But I mean, to defeat an incumbent is extremely difficult.
Right.
And then to defeat an incumbent with all the endorsements. And then to have your own background as a you know 3-decade resident of Angola, and then to you know do it the way he did it is just incredible. So he had a gentleman behind him named Norris Henderson, who is a real political operative, grassroots organizer, someone very plugged in to the community and. You know, has been a force politically, and he certainly helped Duncan. And that certainly was a benefit to have someone like Morris Henderson on the side.
Now, nothing changed as far as this conviction was concerned. It's like there's no new evidence that came up or anything. This was when we moved to the non-unanimous jury convictions being tossed, correct?
Right. I mean, and then he, of course, got motivated here because he became sort of a jailhouse attorney. He was helping other inmates, and he said that the clerk's office here in New Orleans refused to give him his case records. He said he needed to prove his innocence. So, he became a jailhouse sort of expert. Then he earns a, bachelor's degree from Tulane, a JD as well, and tells a story on the campaign trail. So, yeah, it is. It's an amazing story. I mean, to beat an incumbent over 2-1, and to be an Angola prisoner for 3 decades is unbelievable.
You said bachelor's from Tulane?
Yeah, bachelor's degree from Tulane after his release.
I wish I could afford that.
I mean, he, was someone who was just, motivated after his experiences behind bars, and he sort of became a name for himself, and got a lot of publicity for what he was doing, and used that effectively in the campaign. So, yeah, it's an incredible story, and also shows you that endorsements are overblown.
Oh.
And many times it sort of counterproductive, not helpful.
Okay, so is there a worry among New Orleanians that like criminality is to be celebrated? Because it feels like over the last 4 years, the more LaToya Cantrell did wrong, the more she was supported with it, like within the, like, is there some level of just, I don't want to say criminality being celebrated, but that's kind of what it is, or some level of go get yours that's just to be celebrated?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think there is some of that. Obviously, I mean, Nagin, even before he was, indicted, was someone that sort of ran against the system, and he had been heavily criticized and still won re-election, even though many people said that there was wrongdoing going on. He won. Then, of course, as more and more problems occurred, he still, retained at least some segment of his popularity. Same with LaToya Cantrell. She always had her diehard supporters, no matter what charges came out against her. And now, you've got certainly this gentleman from what he's been through, and I think there is that part of the electorate that says, we don't buy the charges. We believe the system's corrupt. We see these individuals as heroes, and, get behind them. And boy, I'll tell you, this was a guy who who really did very well. And then you look at some of the other results from the runoff. You had some significant victories by sort of anti-establishment candidates. A guy who was running against someone who was a former councilwoman. The District A race, the lady that won was considered, younger and more of a outsider, even though she did serve with Joe Giarrusso. She won handily. So there were no close races on Saturday night.
Anything of significance, though? I mean, it's I know this story is going to have a lot of flair to it, but what else happened on Saturday?
I don't think there were any disruptors. I don't think you're going to have any people that are really going to change the ideological direction of New Orleans, or the sort of dominance of the Democrats or anything like that. No, there are no Trumps among these elected officials. So I don't see anything that really changes the direction of New Orleans, except that LaToya Cantrell is so constrained because of the massive fiscal problems. She has got massive cuts that she's going to have to be dealing with. And, she is going into office really handcuffed.
Yeah.
I mean, by by what her predecessor left her.
We're talking Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, also host of Politics with a Punch. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But I want to pivot over to ICE coming to town. They are in Charlotte right now and then headed to New Orleans next. What's the word on the street, Jeff? What's it sounding like in New Orleans as far as what to expect?
Well, I mean, I think there's going to be a definite increase in raids, an increase in enforcements. From what I can tell, you've got a lot of potential areas where ICE could be effective, from construction sites to all kinds of other businesses. They did a little bit of that a few months ago where they hit some construction sites and you had ICE arrests. So, yeah, this could be, I mean, we keep hearing about the National Guard, maybe, ICE. So this could be a focus of all kinds of different parts of the Trump agenda. So, yeah, I think, you've got restaurants that are going to be impacted. You've got construction sites that are going to be impacted. And I think and I was spending a lot of time the other day in Jefferson Parish, and I think that could be a potential area as well. I see a lot of Texas license plates, and wonder the legality of some of these visitors. But I guess we'll find out.
Well, I mean, I don't want to make too many generalizations or stereotypes, but there's growth in Jefferson Parish, and where there's growth, there's construction, and where there's construction, there's day labor, and where there's day labor, that's where you'll find the easy in for that.
No doubt. And you do see that in Jefferson, certainly, more than New Orleans. And yeah, from what I can tell, there's some potential areas that could be looked at. So, yeah, I mean, this looks like certainly this has the support of the governor and support of the attorney general, saying that, they're all for it. I mean, this isn't going to be a case like Chicago where you're running into a lot of problems. Now, of course, the New Orleans elected officials aren't keen on any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Statewide officials are very supportive, but I did debates where I asked these candidates about the National Guard coming here and ICE coming here. They were unhappy about both of those ideas.
We got Jeff Crouere on with us for a couple more minutes here. You've got an event coming up Thursday night that you've been doing for more than 20 years now, and it's a staple every time it's on the calendar. Tell us all about Politics with a Punch.
Yeah, we sort of modeled it after the old show Politically Incorrect, and now you sort of see programs called Gutfeld and others where you have sort of a no holds barred discussion, and you definitely focus on having fun. And so we got a great panel. We've got some comedians. We've got an impressionist who does all kind of different voices, and one of his favorites is Bill Clinton. And for that, we've got a great foil. We've got Jennifer Flowers, who's going to be on the panel. Of course, a long time relationship with Bill Clinton, and she lives in New Orleans. She's an entertainer and singer, and she's had a lot of different venues that she's been involved in, but she's always fun on the panel. And then we've got the new councilman at large joining us, Matt Willard, who is a bright young guy, got a big future, could be a future mayor of New Orleans. He's someone that I think is someone to watch. Another person to watch is Laura Canizero Rodriguez, the daughter of the former DA, who had been talked about for being, the prosecutor, the attorney, the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District. And I think it didn't work out where she got that position, and she might have wanted to be with her family more, but she's got all kinds of possibilities in her future. So she's going to be on the panel as well. And she's awesome. A philanthropist, Sammy Steele, who's a very outspoken guy, and he's going to be joining us, and he's a lot of fun. So we're gonna have a great time.
And somehow Mike Detillier mixed in there as well.
Mike Detillier, I'm sorry, I can't forget Mike Detillier, because he's our sports expert, and he's going to be talking a lot of LSU, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
And Saints and Pelicans. We had guy Draymond Green coming here from the Warriors, wondering if we even deserve having a team because he saw such a weak crowd out there.
Yeah, it should be a hoot coming up Thursday night. Where's this one at?
Place called the Quarterview Restaurant, which is in Metairie on Clearview, and we've been doing it there now for about 4 or 5 years. It's a great home for us. And doors open at 6, and it starts at 7:30. And love for some of your listeners to come out and join us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's on your website, right, Jeff Crouere?
Yes,
Yeah.
Crouere.net.
Crouere.net is where you'll find all the information there. Hey, Jeff, before I get you out of here, and I'm kind of asking for a friend, have you seen a big old piece of cypress board with some writing on it? It's got to be somewhere, right?
We're going to be talking about that Thursday night. Is that not the craziest story you've ever heard?
Wow. No, it's a Scooby-Doo episode is what it is. You got a show to get to. Always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Brian. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Not on any of the websites I go to. No, why? What? Do you have Bellwether's phone number? Yeah. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, Boo. I have one on my desk. I'll go get it at the top of the hour. Yeah, I don't think it's an internal problem. I don't think it's our problem. I get the BRZ, I can get the Advocate, I can get the Daily Report, I can get National Hurricane Center. I mean, everywhere I go, everything I Google, I get an answer for. Oh, do you have that Kiffin cut as well? In the folder, yeah. It's so we want 789, and then yeah, yeah, 789. 655 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Got to remind you about 5-Star Printing and Signs. 5-Star Printing and Signs. If you want to print a big welcome Lane Kiffin sign, Danny can help you out with that. Just call 271-4096. 271-4096 is the home base number for 5-Star. They're located right next to Big Mike's over in Denham Springs, but they service the entire capital area. If you do not have your logo on merch right now, like on a thermal mug or coffee mug or mouse pads or jump drives, whatever you can slap your logo on, you're out of sight, out of mind. Danny can help you with that. He can help fix that. Printshop5.com is the website, or 5-Star for 5-Star Printing and Signs. 271-4096. Why would you put a welcome Lane Kiffin sign out? Well, because the rumor mill is swirling. The news outlets are reporting, and it's looking like we had, in fact, you heard it in our news at the bottom of the hour, some special visitors coming to Baton Rouge yesterday, fueling speculation over LSU's football coaching vacancy. Lane Kiffin's ex-wife and some of his kids were in the capital city scouting the area. This is one day after they toured Gainesville, Florida. Tiger Rag magazine editor Glenn Gilbo says Kiffin's current school, Ole Miss, wants him to make a decision this week as to where he's going to go, if he goes anywhere at all.
I love what we're doing here.
No. Cut 7.
They have an open date, then they end the season at Mississippi State, and Ole Miss does not want him coaching in the playoffs unless he stays at Ole Miss.
I don't really know why Ole Miss wouldn't want him coaching in the playoffs. I'd want to keep him as long as I could. If you're making a playoff run, make the playoff run. I mean, you want your head coach in position right there. That part doesn't make sense to me. Now, Kiffin's weighing his options. Gilbo says one very influential opinion could be that of Nick Saban, who shares an agent with Kiffin. Cut 8.
He says that Lane will have a better chance of winning the national championship at LSU than Florida, though both programs are capable of winning a national championship. And so is Ole Miss. Ole Miss could win it this year.
Right. And they're poised to be in a good spot in the playoffs right now. So I don't understand the argument that says he can't win at Ole Miss. That part doesn't make sense to me. Gilbo says if Kiffin is leaning towards leaving Ole Miss, despite repeatedly saying he loves it in Oxford, LSU has one significant advantage over Florida when it comes to recruiting.
The key advantage for LSU is it is the only major program in Louisiana for football, whereas the state of Florida has Florida State, Miami.
Meanwhile, what does Lane Kiffin have to say? Well, he was asked about his name popping up from time to time as rumored to go somewhere potentially.
I love what we're doing here. Today was awesome, and I don't talk about that stuff. And really, to even talk about it right now would be so disrespectful to our players and how well they played today. So, you know, we got a lot of things going here, doing really well, and I love it here.
It's not going to stop the rumors from flying, though. I mean, it's like we all remember what happened when Nick Saban was leaving Miami to go to be the next coach of Alabama. Last words he said before that was, "I will not be the next head coach of Alabama." And then what do you know? So rumors will continue to fly. Everyone will continue to have the inside scoop and trust the internet for everything, right? That's how that works. If it's on the internet, it's got to be true. How about a little real football? Talk 1073 is your new home for Ken Trahan's original Prep Football Report. Get live in-game updates, a full statewide scoreboard, and check-ins with correspondents from every corner of the state. Friday nights this fall from 6 to 11 p.m. It's Ken Trahan's original Prep Football Report, presented locally by Dr. Pepper and the Harold Perkins Jr. Tuition Program. We're coming up on 7 o'clock at Talk 107.3 FM. Our next hour, we're going to check in on Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3 with Eric Dexter from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. And Joel White's going to talk a little bit about healthcare possibilities on Capitol Hill. That's next. 7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, JP producing, broadcasting live from the 180 Pros studio in downtown Baton Rouge. 180 Pros, is it time for your IT to do a 180? We're starting you off at 68 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Still very, very, very foggy. Please budget some extra time this morning. As you heard that traffic report from Ray Romero, it is causing a number of problems. The fog, that is, causing a number of problems out on the roads. Busy hour this hour. Eric Dexter from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation going to join us in our next segment. We'll talk about last night's planned Baton Rouge Phase 3 meeting. Also this hour, Joel White is the president of the Council for Affordable Health Coverage. We're going to talk about what the possibilities are on Capitol Hill right now, as that is going to be a very contentious debate in the next month and a half. Right now, though, top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Is it a troll job or a sales pitch? Either way, I'm here for it. Full-page advertisement published in the Wall Street Journal on Monday, paid for by Louisiana's Economic Development Department, urged New Yorkers to move to Louisiana in the wake of Zoran Mamdani's mayoral election victory. In large, bold lettering, the headline to the ad reads, "In Louisiana, we value capitalism, not socialism."
Number 4.
At least 200 immigration agents are expected to be deployed in New Orleans by the end of this week, according to ABC News. Those agents are currently conducting an immigration enforcement operation in Charlotte, North Carolina, called Operation Charlotte's Web. Agents have reportedly made 130 arrests in Charlotte so far. It's called Charlotte's Web in Charlotte. What do you think they should call it in New Orleans? Let's get those creative juices going. Post up on our Facebook live feed. We're live on Facebook every single day, courtesy of the folks at Lake Urgent Care. I'd like to hear some creative answers to that one.
Number 3.
Former Louisiana House Speaker Clay Schecksteiner was arrested yesterday on felony charges filed last week related to the disappearance of an ancient Cypress board that is considered a state artifact. The board was last seen in his Gonzales legislative office. He was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on charges of felony theft over $25,000 and felony malfeasance in office as well. I've got questions about this one. For example, if they don't know where it is, do they have enough to accuse him of stealing it? Charge him with, and if they do know where it is, or if it's found somewhere, does all this just go away? We'll find out.
Number 2.
At least 200 city parish jobs are on the line, and the city parishes plan to move some money around over the weekend. Well, it failed on Saturday night. Yesterday afternoon, Mayor President Sid Edwards announced cuts have already started in his office, though he hasn't announced which positions. He'll work to reduce the budget by 12% overall. Mason Batts from the mayor's office going to join us at 8:15 to talk about this.
Number 1.
And speaking of that budget, the EBR Metro Council has a budget hearing coming up tomorrow night, 4:30 p.m., of course, 222 St. Louis Street on the 3rd floor in the council chambers. If you want a breakdown of the budget, see what the funding priorities are, learn a little bit more about the presentations and discussions and, where folks want the money to be, learn where your tax dollars are going, 4:30 p.m. tomorrow evening in the council chambers. If you can't go in person, you can stream it online, brla.gov, and you'll find it from there. It's you'll find the flashes and links from there. So tomorrow, 4:30 p.m., budget hearing.
Well, a plane flew from Oxford, Mississippi to Baton Rouge on Monday, reportedly was carrying members of Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin's family for a tour of the city as LSU searches for a new head football coach.
Book it. Mark it down, man.
Let's go.
Mark it down. That's the next guy, right? It's a done deal, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's already, it's been speculations, man.
The text threads that I'm in with the people who, quote unquote, know.
Yeah.
Air quote. So air quote.
Just wishful thinking at this point.
No, I know. And nothing's real until it is.
That's right.
Nothing is real until it is. And I'm of the opinion I'd love to have Lane Kiffin here. I think he's a heck of a football coach. But at the same time, though, I'd like to have the next up and comer. And rather than paying a coach $18 million, I'd rather pay him $8 million and give the other 10 to the roster to build around him.
So what's this I hear about his wife Layla? Apparently may have the final decision in this. What's this?
I don't know.
What's this I read here?
I don't know. But if you're reading it on the internet, of course, it's true.
It's got to be, right?
Hey, I'm not looking for a plane from Oxford. I'm looking for a plane from Nashville or
Okay.
LA.
There you go.
That's where Jimmy Sexton has his offices, in Nashville and Los Angeles.
Right.
You see a plane coming from there, then we're about to put ink on paper.
There we go. In other news, this afternoon, the House of Representatives is scheduled to vote on a measure that would compel the Justice Department to release all its files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Mike Johnson talked about this yesterday on the Moon Griffon show. We played it back for you in our 6 o'clock hour. It's also available on Moon's podcast, correct?
That's right.
Is that where that's at right now? Don't forget, whether it's Baton Rouge business or DC drama, Moon's got the hot takes and the hometown humor to keep you laughing and thinking. No fluff, no filter, just Moon being Moon. Listen and subscribe on all your favorite platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more, or catch those episodes at talk1073.com.
Like that. Circling back around to football, the NFL suspended former LSU and current Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase for spitting on an opposing player, which was Jalen Ramsey, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter.
Yeah. Jamar says he didn't do it, but like everything's on film. Everything's on camera.
Right.
There is no off camera in an NFL stadium.
Play the tape back.
Yeah. Oh. Not a good look, man.
No.
Not a
So
good
he will be suspended. 1 game suspension with no pay.
Yeah.
So
we're coming up on, we are at 7-11 at Talk 107.3 FM. Before we take our next break, I want to remind you about the folks over at Neurojust. Neurojust.com is their website. You'll find them in real life on Bluebonnet Boulevard. If you or someone you know is suffering from anxiety or depression, which is 1 in 5 people, by the way, if you or someone you know is suffering from anxiety or depression and is treatment resistant, meaning that sit down, talk it out therapy isn't really taking hold, meaning that if you've been given an antidepressant, if you've been given a prescription, you're either seeing diminishing returns, hate the way you feel when you're on it, or it's just not effective, give Neurojust a call or give Neurojust a look at neurojust.com. They specialize in transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is FDA approved. It's non-invasive. There are no side effects whatsoever. These are magnetic pulses that basically target the area of the brain that affect mood. If you are suffering from anxiety or depression, you know that it's like having choppy 6-foot seas in your head at all time because it's a constant fight or flight battle. There's peace. There's hope. There is another side to this equation, neurojust.com. Quick break. We'll talk with the Baton Rouge Area Foundation next. I'm wiped out. I'm done. It's an hour and 15 minutes worth of a 3-hour show. Oh, man. How'd it go last night?
Solid turnout. It probably wasn't as much as
Well, I figured last night's was more, and I'm coaching myself basketball too. So, I wasn't able to go last night, but I went to 2 other ones. I feel like y'all got most of the input you need. Right?
quite a bit. Yeah. I mean, we've gotten, well over 2,000, probably 3,000 type of survey responses, including a lot of the in-person engagements, well over 3,000, I think you said. So we've gotten quite a bit. Last night, we were getting into, now that we've seen these big ideas, and now we're looking at specific areas around downtown, which areas, like what types of projects within each of these areas would you like to see? And so people have these PBR3 bucks, and they went around the room, and everybody had $100, so you could put your 100 small bills, big bills, as much as you want into certain areas.
We'll talk about that specifically because
we'll count those and we'll kind of see what the public wants.
Yeah, you're here. It's all good. I've had the song Easy Lover stuck in my head for half of a year now. It's been 6 months in my head. I don't know how to get it out. I just This is these are the things that create like crazy people. Yep. Right. And then when this old a-hole plays in his bumper music, just re-ups it. 7:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. You've heard the phrase, speak now or forever hold your peace. Well, that was the case last night. Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3, the final public meeting. And are we getting somewhere with it? Here to joining us now to talk about it, Eric Dexter from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. How are you, man?
Good morning. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
No, glad to have you on here. So public comment, public feedback. Are we done here or is there still a window open?
Yeah. So last night was the last community open house to get, that feedback from the public in person. We may still open it up on the website, at least for people to give comments.
Okay.
The presentation from last night's event should be uploaded this week, maybe by the end of the day, but it will be up there this week. And so people will be able to review it. I know a lot of people can't always make it in person. So we still want to collect that feedback throughout the rest of the process.
Right. I mean, there has been ample opportunity for public feedback. I've been to at least it's either 2 or 3 meetings so far that I've been to, just the public town halls where they're great, presentations on the front end and then the collaboration on the back end.
Correct.
It's been done very well thus far. How did last night look?
Last night went well. We switched it up a little bit. We did it on a Monday, so we've typically done these on Wednesday. So you never know what day of the week is going to work best for most. But I think we filled up quite a bit in the Manship Theater. And then once the presentation is done, we moved over to the Hartley Bay Theater. And then that's when we did the activities and the exercise. So it was a well-attended crowd. And I think, when you combine the 3 open houses, you probably have well over 600 or so folks that attended in person, but then you start having 3,000 or so, responses that we've received through surveys and in-person interactions.
Last night you were telling me some of the interactive stuff has been great. It's you've had like the easels up all around the room with different, you put your Post-it note on it with your individual idea. You've had the big map of downtown Baton Rouge, put a pen in the board to show what needs a little love, what's getting the right amount of love, that sort of thing. What was last night's interaction like?
So one of the things we did last night, if you came in from the Lafayette Street side of the Shaw Center, you saw previous successes of Plan Baton Rouge's 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, we were showing people over the last 20 plus years what can happen if we do this in a collaborative effort. And so you're looking at the Shaw Center, you're looking at the Hilton, downtown Greenway, things of that nature. Already kind of puts people in a vibe of what can happen again if we stick to this. From that point on, once we finished the presentation in the Manship Theater, we gave everyone PBR $3. So everyone that attended got $100 worth of PBR $3. So small bills, some big bills, and they ran around the tables of looking at certain areas in the downtown area, whether that was downtown east, southern, kind of the southern gateway, or the northern side of downtown near where the Queen Casino is. Some of these areas were defined based on what people have responded to in their surveys. And so we have kind of 6 or so areas that were clearly defined. And then within each of those areas, folks got to determine what exactly types of projects that they want to see in each of those particular areas around downtown. And so by the end of the night, we were doing a lot of counting. It looked kind of like a heist had taken place with all the dollars that were being collected from the table. And then we would, go and jot down what the dollar amount was for each of those areas. From that point on, as a project team, we'll start to review those and see what the general public wanted for those particular projects. And that'll start to be elevated when we talk about implementation.
So the previous meetings have been about just general ideas. When you put, air quote dollars behind them, you can weight the value of those ideas and how much everybody's willing to individually, this is where we should start. You de facto prioritize it, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's really giving folks, the mindset of, I think many of us know this, of course, especially after this weekend, it's like things cost. And there's a consequences. If you want this, sometimes you may have to delay this other type of project. And so with this, I mean, you could talk about $4 or $5 billion worth of project if we did everything in totality, but that's likely not going to be the case.
All right. I want to talk about dollars that could be put into this in just a second. By the way, Eric Dexter from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation is our guest. We're talking about Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3. When you hear him say PBR dollars, that is Plan Baton Rouge, not Pabst Blue Ribbon. That's just a trigger in my head right there.
Although, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would have taken those too.
You
Right?
coulda- yeah,
After a long day on a Monday.
the official tall boy of Plan Baton Rouge. So when putting some dollars on that, what kind of investment do you think is going to be needed to make this one successful? Because we've seen investments in downtown in the past, but we've seen investments in other downtowns around the country where, like, if we put $3 billion in 20 years ago, we've seen, like, and I want to make a direct comparison to St. Louis. St. Louis is a city that feels like it's a lot bigger than us, but population wise, they're really not that much bigger than us. They've put close to $8 billion in their downtown since COVID. Well, they've put in 4 and they're putting in 4 more, right?
Sure.
And this is since COVID. Their downtown was a wasteland. They were starting from a much lower spot than we are, but they started by working on residential and building their way out. And when you think about, $3 billion in downtown Baton Rouge sounds like a lot until it's put in comparison to $8 billion for St. Louis.
Yeah.
Like that's the level of engagement we need here.
Yes. If you look around the country, and Sasaki and their team has been the planners for this process have been really great at this. I mean, they're doing work all across the country, whether it's in Denver, Little Rock, Columbus, or Oklahoma City, what have you. So they've been able to show us what other cities are doing. Some of us are comparable in size, not just, some of the larger cities and metropolitan areas out there. But we're going to have to get creative, as we've done before. And so, as we were talking before we came on, with the Shaw Center and some of these other projects like the Hilton that have been done over the past 20 or so years, we had to get creative in that. That's sometimes it's a mixture of the public, sometimes it's a mixture of the private investors. But what you have to do is create the environment with the plan that is right for investment, whether that's from a public appetite or private investors and developers who want to expand downtown or want to move their offices downtown and develop projects like the Mike Wampols of the world have continued to do over these years.
Right. What's the appetite right there right now?
I think it's there. As throughout this process, we've been intentional about involving folks who own property, who are considering expanding some of their developments in the downtown area. And what they've said, we're waiting. Money costs a lot right now, so they're kind of also waiting for that to go down a little bit to do construction. But they're also waiting to see what is the vision and the plan. And I think that is going to entice them. And of course, if the public has some skin in the game, which we do with so much public property in the downtown area, I think that will also help to kind of spur that private investor development.
So are we hamstrung by that? It was back in the 90s when Governor Foster wanted to put all the state buildings in downtown Baton Rouge. It was and I still believe it's a good idea, but the consolidation of it. But at the same time, though, that's a lot of real estate taken up, a lot of traffic taken up, a lot of parking taken up. Is that a catalyst for other business, or is it kind of a stifling of growth?
I think there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
You think about who are actually paying the taxes in the downtown development district as well.
Right.
So that's one part of it. But here's the thing. If you would eliminate so many of your city, state, federal offices and took that workforce out there from a daily basis and that traffic, you might have downtown be a ghost town.
Right.
And so when you have the thousands of people who are there and providing that energy, at least from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, I think that's outweighs the taking up of space, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think what we've been intentional about involving folks from the state throughout this process is that we want to lean into what they want to do. We understand this is also the Baton Rouge and downtown Baton Rouge in particular is the seat of the state government. So we know this is the first the front porch to many of negotiations and business dealings and doing the people's work throughout the state of Louisiana. And so the state, we have invested interest in making downtown Baton Rouge the best version of itself it can be. And so we want to combine that. We want to combine what their property and the types of development and expansions that they're talking about doing with legislative housing and others and tie that in to some of the other private development. So you don't have a lot of just wide open space that nothing's happening and some of the most valuable property that you have in downtown Baton Rouge.
Well, and the good part here is that it's all one side of downtown.
Sure.
I mean, you get the north
street. The northern, yeah.
Right. It's not the rest of downtown, which is open for, it's blank. Well, it's not a blank palette, but there's a lot of room to run here.
Sure.
Couple of different areas we want to touch on. By the way, we're talking with Eric Dexter from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. What were a few of the ideas that you've seen along the way that kind of took hold with you?
There are quite a few. I'll start with the what they call like the loop, the river loop or riverfront loop, I think is what we're calling it. Which would, if you could imagine yourself starting at the Shaw Center and you're going north down 3rd Street, go all the way to about Laurel or so,
Okay.
where Visit Baton Rouge's old office is, where
Yeah.
you have the Vintage, and then you come towards the river.
Bro, are you already calling it the old office?
Well, they're moving. They're moving.
They
are
yeah,
moving.
but I mean,
They're
there's,
moving.
There's a shell of bricks over there. They got a lot of work to do first.
If you can tell, I'm being very progressive and forward mindset in this planning mode, but it will be their old office. But yes, as you move towards the river, and so we kind of make that loop.
Mm-hmm.
We see that as right because you have your museum districts. Is there? We would call it a museum district.
Okay.
You start from LASM, the Kid, as well as the old state capitol, and then you look at the LSU Museum of Art, and so you make that walk. There's already kind of some of your bars and that restaurant feel. So imagine if you're local, or if you're a tourist coming into town, it can make a nice little stroll. What we are considering, and this is just, of course, proposals at this point, is making it be kind of a walkable only once you go from Laurel, go from 3rd Street down to the river, and open it up with green spaces, almost if you'd make it somewhat of like a beer garden feel, where you'd have an overlook, being able to see the river from looking down at Laurel at around 3rd Street or so. That is something that's a big, audacious plan.
Yeah.
But if you consider it, not a lot of areas in downtown Baton Rouge where you can see the river without going up on the levee. And that is one of the areas that we're considering of kind of like doing a little bit of elevation so people can actually enjoy a sunset.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that you...
Okay, so like across Laurel, like you go to 3rd Laurel by Visit Baton Rouge. So across
Look
the street is
towards
a
the
parking
river.
lot.
Yep.
And then there's another parking lot where the Advocate used to be.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's the spot we're talking about?
Yes,
All right.
yes, yeah. And making that some green spaces, almost something almost like, if you're sitting in an amphitheater and you're looking down at the stage,
okay,
being able to see the river from there. Because unless you're in an office building downtown or you go somewhere in the Shaw Center, you're kind of up high, you rarely ever get a chance to see the majesty that is the Mississippi River or enjoy the beautiful sunset unless you go to the river itself or up on the levee itself. And so that is, there's some areas that we have that kind of create that natural feel to it where you can look down. And so that's one of the proposals that I think is standing out to me.
What about on 4th Street? I know there was a lot of talk about, because 4th Street, you have that corridor. It's, just, it's the most picturesque thing when you've got the Capitol on the end of it.
It's our own national mall in a sense. If you look at it, like going to DC, it could be that.
Yeah.
And I think it's certainly that once you cross over North Street and you look at that. So that is another area where we kind of call in that cultural and civic spine, where you can put the civil rights trail that is being done there. Also looking at the state capitol. There's a lot of programming already happens there as it is.
Yeah.
People throw festivals and other events that are down in that area. And so that is another proposed area where you make that as soon as you come from, North Boulevard and you start looking down 4th Street, you see that. And it's lined with types of things that, you may see in other places that celebrate the culture and the history. And that's one of the things that people have said over and over again. We have such deep, rich history in the city of Baton Rouge, going back hundreds of years now, or at least 100 plus years now. And so we don't always tell it, or it's not evident when people come here. So I think locals need to know that as well as tourists that are visiting town.
All right. 2 more things we absolutely have to cover. I talked with Eric Dexter from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation about Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3. 2 more things we absolutely have to cover. Drive. Because making a corridor to the arena is going to be a big deal. How much emphasis or how many good ideas are coming across the board for how do we revitalize Nicholson?
Yeah, so the planning area in Plan Baton Rouge 3 goes where the downtown development district is. So it kind of ends at the water campus.
Okay.
But we have to consider what's coming down towards LSU along Nicholson and that Nicholson Gateway. We would be wrong if we didn't do that. And so that is something that we are taking into consideration. And that's actually that was going to be my other favorite spot, I think. I think that area is ripe. When you look at that land and you look at the water campus that's there and fully realizing what the water campus master plan actually laid out, finishing that vision and then developing it on Nicholson. And now imagine coming into down Nicholson and seeing some type of arch or gateway. We kind of had the bridge there, so it already kind of creates one in a sense. But imagine it being a little bit more decorative. Yeah. Some lighting under the overpass. So this is an area I called, and I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I called it the gumbo area. So going under the Mississippi River Bridge overpass. And I know there's an R there, but I kind of look past that. But somewhat like Dumbo if you go out into New York. And so you create lighting. It already has the bones and the structure when you look at Pastime, Brickyard South, Chelsea's, George's, the distillery there, 13th Gate.
Yeah.
I think that could be filled in and kind of create like we have in the Perkins Road overpass area.
Yeah.
And if you have college students that are running back and forth and others that are working in the downtown area, that can be a cool little food and student bar scene in that area that is a little different than anywhere else that exists.
Last minute, we got 60 seconds left here, so I want to touch on this as well. We've talked residential, we've talked lifestyle, a lot of lifestyle. We'll talk about the River Center another time because that's its own separate thing. But what in Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3 is being done to make Lori Melonsaw's job easier? Because all of this revolves around recruiting jobs.
Certainly. So one of these guiding principles is market diversity. And when you have, Baton Rouge right now is a little bit stuck in the types of industry that exists in the downtown area. And so you want to enhance that and create that creative capital, that creative and innovation hub in the downtown area, because we know that people, a lot of young professionals, especially the ones that are recruiting, want to have that urban feel. They like to be able to go in their apartment, walk downstairs, go get groceries, go get some food, go back up, get to work, or go to their office. And so that is a part of this, is developing that type of housing, not just the high end or the affordable piece, but also that missing middle that doesn't exist in much of
the
downtown
office
right
space is what I'm looking at.
Yes. Correct.
How are we that's
what we are getting at the office space side of things. I think we have quite a bit of office space, and we're really doing quite well with office space, but we could use more.
Yeah,
we could use more, and I think there's some areas kind of on the outskirts of downtown and some infield that we have that's right for that. But we need more housing. I think we could do about 3 times the residents in the downtown area than we currently have. That's what's being suggested by Sasaki.
He's Eric Dexter from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. Great stuff. We're not done with the conversation. We're just out of time. I always appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Quick break. We're coming up on, we blew right past ABC News. Not worried about that. Here comes local news, traffic, weather. We'll talk healthcare next.
Sorry about that.
My word.
Run-ons.
I'm super hyped about this round of Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We've had so much change from the last one till now. Downtowns aren't what they were 20 years ago.
Right.
And it's, I appreciate the emphasis on residential a lot, but we've also seen in other places, go right back to St. Louis, is taking old buildings that were purposed for one reason and completely repurposed, just like Visit Baton Rouge is doing by moving into that stack of bricks. And because that's literally all it is right now.
And it's been sitting there for years.
It was a printing shop way back in the day.
Yep.
Like old school. It's like how I want to be able to tell Lori, here's gutted office space, revamped office space, an efficient way to get people into.
Sure.
Let's go get the next IBM.
Right.
That's that.
Yeah, and she's at the table. We had our executive committee meeting early yesterday morning with the team, and so she's at the table providing her input. If you know her, there ain't no doubt about that. And so she's there, and her team, Jake and those folks, have been really, really great throughout this process. Nothing is going to be presented in the final plan without everyone that you're mentioning's thumbprints on it. And so we're taking that into consideration. But I know they have a lot of a regional approach, but I think in my case, I'm a little biased without downtown being as great as it can be for the region than a lot of other things. So.
Totally. This is yes, that's exactly right. This is where it's at. This is since the first downtown ever, since Athens, Greece, it's all things good flow into the downtown. Yeah, flow into the boulevard.
Yeah, a lot of business, a lot of interaction, a lot of just cultural amenities that exist on the riverfront in this levee that we have that is beautiful. It could be a lot more. Ain't no doubt about that.
And I know a lot of people downtown gets all the love and whatnot. Well, it's to deny a downtown is to deny basic anthropology. It's a trading.
Like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
People come together. It's where people come together.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know we live in a world where we can order everything in DoorDash,
right,
and Amazon, and Shein, and all of it, but there will always be we are a group of people. We're tribal people,
right?
I mean, it's
and the infrastructure.
Basic anthropology.
We have the infrastructure there.
Yes, we do.
So you don't have to go recreate that. And if you don't have, obviously, you don't have a riverfront, you can't go just recreate that by anyway. But
shit, I didn't mention Funfair Park.
You got to get that one in.
Damn it.
Or Rolf's Ferris wheel. He made sure to let me know about that last time.
Oh, Rolf and I are simpatico on this. We don't agree a whole lot, but I want to bring back Funfair Park and put it on the levee.
Yeah. So one of the areas that also is exciting is what we call it the Great Park, and it's right there, kind of under, right on the northern side of the bridge, and then leading towards the LASM, and so. The kid has been in talks of moving the ship a little bit further down to get it in some of that water. And so kind of opening up that space and creating this great park right there on the river, where you just like kids, because there's not a lot of stuff for families to
Every
come down.
time I say it, people laugh because it's Funfair Park, and it was like the '80s in Baton Rouge or whatever. But like, okay, I want to have Boardwalk in Jersey, or Steel Pier, Navy Pier. Like every place that has a waterfront has an attraction like that, and we don't.
Where people hang by the water.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's something that's big on that. I think that's going to be really cool. And I think that's doable.
I had nothing but coffee grinds in my coffee.
At the bottom of the
Chewing coffee grinds. That's the way to wake up.
That's probably why when I stand up, I want to wake, and when I sit down, I want to fall asleep. And I can't blame anybody because I'm the one that makes the damn coffee.
Keep the coffee grounds there.
So good. Always appreciate it, man. We're here for whatever y'all need.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Good to see you again. Oh, yeah. Shit. All right. We also got
.736 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're going to talk about possibilities in healthcare on Capitol Hill in just a minute, but I need to remind you about Landmark Bank first. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website, founded in 1897 as a community bank. Here, as we're approaching 2026, you know what they are now? Community bank. And that is so important. Look, if you're a small business owner who went through PPP and COVID and all that stuff, you already know the value of having that banker, not just a banker. That the one who's going to go to bat for you, the small business owner, who's going to work late after hours for the small business owner, who's going to make sure that your dream, your business, the reason you stepped off the entrepreneurship cliff is going to succeed. They're going to do everything in their power to do that. You're not just a number. You have a banker. On the personal side, how about somebody that you see in the grocery store, somebody you see at the gym, the carpool line, church, someone who is your neighbor is your banker, can help you achieve your hopes, wants, dreams, and desires, whether you're talking about just simple investing, looking towards the future and retirement, or buying a new home. Learn more about locations, hours, all of it at landmarkbankla.com. Okay, we've got Joel White on the hotline right now. He's the president of the Council for Affordable Health Coverage. Joel, welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, man?
Good. Thanks for having me today.
Glad to have you on. Glad to just open up this discussion. It's going to be very, very open-ended. We had the longest government shutdown in history, and apparently the biggest point of contention was healthcare. So now that they're back to work and they're talking, I'm throwing this out there for wherever you want to take it. What's on the table healthcare-wise?
Yeah, well, I think the dynamic has totally changed. The government shutdown, it was all over whether we would continue to subsidize Obamacare, and that program is just not working. The premiums are up, the deductibles are way up, the access to care is really bad. And President Trump basically said, look, we don't want to keep funneling subsidies to these big insurance companies. We want to give that money to the families, to the individuals, so that they can go out and make their choices and, shop for a better deal. And without taking away any security, without imposing pre-existing conditions, without any of that stuff. So it's a better way to do it. And I think where Republicans on Capitol Hill are heading is trying to figure out how to undo all the damage caused by Obamacare so that consumers can get a better, lower cost plan that works better for their families' healthcare needs.
Okay, so this sounds like it's in the form of a healthcare savings account, not insurance, though, right?
Yeah, I think that's one option. And basically what you do is you take the subsidy and you give it to the individual. They use that pot of money to go buy an insurance plan, which many of the products on the market that Obamacare doesn't allow you to buy are 2, 3, 7 times cheaper, less expensive, and still provide that major medical coverage. It's just Obamacare doesn't allow you to buy that. And so the difference between what the government would send you in a subsidy and what you'd pay in a premium goes into a health savings account that the individual could then use to pay for stuff the insurance company doesn't cover, like prescription drugs, doctor's visits who are out of network, medical supplies, over-the-counter needs, things like that. So it's a lot more flexibility to the consumer and filling in all those gaps in insurance that the health plan doesn't cover.
Is this scalable? Is this something that the federal government can actually take on? Because it just feels so ginormous.
Well, I think, again, Obamacare did a lot of damage, but there are definitely plans available all over the country off the exchange or off of Obamacare that are readily available. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time to set up. But a change that was included in the one big beautiful bill, the big tax cut and reform package that Congress enacted earlier this year, the president signed, includes a provision in it that says if you've got a bronze or a catastrophic plan in Obamacare, you can get an HSA. Okay, so those HSAs are already now integrated into Obamacare. So even next year, people are going to be able to get an HSA in a lower cost option that doesn't have such a high deductible, doesn't have such a high premium, and build that into their plan. So there's already a foundation or a framework that can be built on to get more help to more people.
Joel White with the Council for Affordable Health Coverage is our guest. Are there smaller examples of how we're already doing this, or is this something that's, a lot more brand new than we think?
Oh, HSAs are everywhere. There's 37 million accounts, 61 million Americans have these accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have one next year. I helped write the law that created health savings accounts when I was working for the Ways and Means Committee in Congress. These things are very popular because what we're seeing in insurance right now is very limited access to doctors, very limited access to drugs. And what you can use your health savings account for are those doctors and drugs that aren't covered by your insurance company. So it fills in those gaps and it covers your cost sharing and it provides everything at a discount, which is 30% discount when you're buying something through your HSA is a nice little chunk of change back in your pocket. But here's the other tie into what President Trump has talked about. He's negotiating lower drug prices and wants to set up this Trump RX where people can buy drugs directly, completely go outside of their insurance and get a better deal. Like a lot of times people will go to the pharmacy counter and their insurance company says, well, it's $900 or $1,000 for this drug. And the consumer says, well, what if I just pay cash? And they go, well, it's $10. That is a crazy dynamic and shows you how dysfunctional healthcare and insurance is right now. What President Trump wants to do is create a pathway to Trump RX. You can buy the drug there directly so that you can get the $10 price instead of the $1,000 price. And you can use your HSA for that, which means that money that maybe comes through this revised subsidy process goes into your HSA. You use those federal dollars to buy the $10 drug. You don't have to pay $1,000 out of pocket for something that's completely inflated and marked up.
We've got Joel White with us for the Council for Affordable Health Coverage, talking a little bit about what's possible up on Capitol Hill. Joel, I let me re-ask the question because I wasn't as specific as I should have been. Not just asking about HSAs, but HSAs being I guess the placeholder for insurance coverage. Like, if we're to take the money for insurance and give it to the individual who needs the insurance, as opposed to the way we've been seeing it now, have we seen that to this point, even on a small scale?
We haven't seen it in the federal government side. I think that's the problem, is that Obamacare really restricted consumer choices. It said, we'll give you a subsidy, basically a bribe, but you got to buy the product that we've defined in law and in regulation. And that product is very limited and it's very expensive. So what Obamacare did was it really drove up costs, not just on the premium side, but for hospitals and doctors and drugs. And then we went in and subsidized it and said, well, here's your subsidy. That made people very dependent on those subsidies to be able to afford these very high premiums that we're seeing in the marketplace right now. This is why Obamacare doesn't work. It's subsidizing the most expensive coverage in the marketplace and the coverage with the highest out-of-pocket costs and the most restricted access to doctors. So what the president's talking about is, let's shift our thinking here. Let's get that money back to the consumer and then open up the market to allow you to buy any plan on the market. And most people will probably pick a cheaper plan that has better access to doctors and drugs. So it's a completely shift in thinking. But I want to stress, HSAs are an integral part of the fabric in healthcare right now. 61 million people already have access to these accounts. We just want to build them out to more people so they have lower costs.
All right, now we're getting where we want to go, because now we're getting to the why. Why have premiums gone up? Why are subsidies needed? Why are we to this point? It's because under the Affordable Care Act, what we've seen is more consolidation amongst in the insurance markets. The more you put the money back into the hands of the consumer, the more deconsolidation you'll have there, the more choice you will have by the consumer, and choice drives down price.
Choice drives down price. And I think what Obamacare did was three things. One, it restricted choice. It says we're going to have these standardized plans, and consumers can only get the subsidy if they buy those restricted choice plans. Secondly, it drove up medical inflation to heights I've never seen before.
Right.
Medical costs have increased 3 times faster than your grocery bill, your energy bill. Those are already too high. So this is like Obamacare dumped gasoline on the inflation fire in the medical space. And there's specific policies in Obamacare that did that. But the third thing, and President Trump put his finger on this, is that those subsidies don't go to the individual, they go to the insurance company. And what we see there is the stocks are through the roof. We're spending 3 times more on subsidies. The original estimate for what taxpayers would spend on this program was $500 billion over 10 years. Okay, it's now $1.5 trillion.
Right.
It is out of control. It's because the subsidies are going to the insurers. Consumers don't have choice, and hospital, doctor, and drug costs are through the roof because of this law.
Well, and that's only one part of it, Joel. The other part of this is the service end of it that we haven't even talked about yet, is when you don't have choice, they don't have to live up to any standard, really, because where you're going to go.
Yeah. Well, in hospital space, doctor space, what we're seeing is because of the law, we had massive consolidation in the market. So now 97%, almost every part of this country, is an anti-competitive local monopoly, basically. So there's a hospital, maybe 1 or 2. That's not really a lot of choices. Those hospitals are buying up doctors. Almost half of all doctors are now employed by a hospital and have to live by their rules, and in many cases not exercise their best medical judgment, but follow the rules from the hospital. And that's restricting choice, and it limits competition. And so what we see in those markets, prices are about 30 times higher than before that consolidation happened. So like the prices are up, the utilization is highly restricted, the channel's restricted. So your choices of access go down, and they can charge basically whatever they want. Yeah. So we're putting gasoline on medical inflation, and it's crushing consumers. We need to change this law.
And that's not an indictment of the doctors themselves. That's an indictment of what the insurance companies can decide they want to pay for, and when they can, whether or not they can just tell you to pound sand.
Yeah, I mean, every consumer's probably experienced it. I have.
Oh, yeah.
Others have. You try and get, you pay tens of thousands of dollars in premiums, and then you pay a bunch out of pocket. And then you try and go to the doctor and get my son broke his wrist earlier last year playing football. And it wasn't for Ole Miss, but he was playing football. And I had to get prior auth on the imaging. Yeah. And I'm like, well, we could just go to the emergency room and get the image there. That's going to cost you more money.
Right.
well, you got to wait 5 to 7 days for the prior auth. I'm like, why am I paying my premiums if you're going to, hose me on just getting my son's broken wrist x-rayed so that we can go ahead and get him treatment? So every consumer's feeling this friction with their insurance company. The insurers are denying care. And we're all asking the question, why are we paying all these premiums for what?
Give me, we got less than a minute to go with Joel White, the president of the Council for Affordable Health Coverage. Give me your crystal ball prediction. What do you think comes out of these talks?
I think we get the Democrats bought into the program that's failed. It's failing Americans. It's not working for working Americans. They have their show vote. It kind of goes nowhere. Republicans, I think, pull together a package of 3 or 4 really smart changes that give the power back to the individual, and that drives down costs. I think that'll happen between December and maybe January, February of next year. And relief is on its way to all Americans around the country. We got to get out of this bad, broken system.
Could not agree more. It's going to be an overwhelming undertaking, but an undertaking that will be worthwhile for all of us, for all of our bank accounts, to be sure. He's Joel White. Man, I appreciate you reconnecting. I'm glad we got this done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. We blew right past your money now. I'm not doing well this hour. I'm not disciplined this hour. We'll correct it for the next hour. Quick break, come back. Let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving travel next. That's the Your Money Now spot? Okay. That was less than 30 seconds of it. That was a difficult interview to do because I couldn't get to their website. I don't know if this, I don't think it's our problem. I think there's something going on where select websites tell you internal server, whatever, internal server error. This table is not connected to the little fake wall anymore. And I don't know why. And it's wobbly. Yeah. But this week, it just started this week. Started really wobbling. What you say, Moon? You been all right?
Laughing at the Kiffin deal.
Oh, man.
This what bothers me about Kiffin. Kiffin probably is a great coach and all that shit.
Yeah.
He got his ass fired before the national championship game.
Yeah.
He gonna get his ass fired before they even go to the playoffs. He ends up taking Florida elsewhere. Does not do stuff. I'm not saying he's immoral, but he does crazy shit. I'm telling you, that'll never sell here. You better win. You better win quick because he will do crazy.
He's
when
also
they played Georgia, fourth down, they didn't win it on their own 21 with 3 yards to go. He goes for another.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
I know.
Y'all.
I know. And
I would like to see him get a good coach. And I'm not an anti-Kiffin guy. I'm telling y'all, he does so much.
I would rather spend $6 million on a coach and $12 million on the roster than $18 million on a coach. Well, and he had the highest paid roster in college football last year and still lost 3 games. Well, and he's not a glad hander either. Yeah. Yeah. $7:56. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming up in just a little bit. We got Mason Batts from the mayor's office stopping by. All right. I mean, it's a little bit early to ask the question, but what's next? Saturday, Thrive BR falls short at the polls. And it was just a true testament to the distrust of government, really. What's next? We know layoffs are coming. Are we able to determine who yet? Like I said, it's early to ask the question, but we'll dive into as much as we can. Mason Batts, 8:15. Congressman Troy Carter, 8:35. Right now, though, you heard the news from Louisiana Radio Network that we're looking at another busy travel holiday for Thanksgiving this year. Don Redmond with AAA says expect large numbers of travelers on the road this holiday.
If you're traveling for the holidays, expect busy roads in the region. We're talking about almost 4.5 million people traveling by vehicle.
Obviously, if there's gonna be a lot of people on the road, you want to get out early, get out in front of it. That's the general the general rule of thumb, right?
The earlier in the morning that you can get on the highway, the better. Once you get past that 11 noon hour, you're just going to be running into tons of traffic.
I get that. I mean, I understand that, but patience would be the key on that front. Obviously, if you're getting out on the road, before you do so, you want to make sure your car is running as smooth as it can be.
Make sure your transmission fluid, your oil, your radiator fluid, all of those are full. Make sure you're good tires. Don't forget your spare tire.
All important things to be sure. Was curious about travel for this Thanksgiving specifically because it does it feel like Thanksgiving yet to y'all? I mean, we're what? A week and 2 days away. I don't know. I'm just not there yet. Oh, by the way, before you get out on the road, if you drive a European vehicle, you want to swing by Vex European. In fact, I will be making my appointment today. In fact, let me do that while we're here because it is just that simple to take care of it. VEXEuropean.com, VEXEuropean.com. Appointments, click the little tab, gathering my information. Here's what we got going on. What is my problem? Okay, put that in. It says describe your concern. It doesn't say what's your problem. That would be rude. All right. Click what I've got going on with my car. That would be other. And I'm done. All right. I have an appointment at Vex European. It is that simple. VEXEuropean.com. If you drive a European vehicle, get yourself a technician who is the expert level in your make of vehicle. Mercedes, BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, Audi. You know the list. If you don't know the list, go to VEXEuropean.com, hit the vehicles tab, and you can see what's on the list at VEXEuropean.com. I got a little headlight issue that I got to deal with. We thought we had it knocked out, but apparently not. And I've also got a squeaky belt. So time to get both of those taken care of. I'm going to go see my guy Vinny over at Vex European to get that done. We are coming up on top of the hour, and in our next hour, of course, we'll have This Day in History coming your way. But I really want to dig into the layoffs here. It's tough beat on Saturday. Everything about what tried to happen on Saturday made sense to me. It all made sense to me. And voters resoundingly said no. 53-47, I think, was the final score, percentage-wise. We'll break it down next hour. What you say, Rich? Oh, you know. Yes, just plug it along, man. Plug it along. Yeah.
Today, 1979, I saw the tearing down Tulane Stadium.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah, all memories, man.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad used to tell me stories about, like, I told you this. They'd park cars in people's front yards and just leave. Yeah.
Like Mardi Gras.
Yep. I'll put on the headset. I can help. I got. Are you hearing me? I'm not in program 1, am I? Okay, just making sure.
Good guy.
Yep.
Talk bad about me no more.
Oh.
So no. You make sense. Same with the Kiffin thing.
Yeah.
He's won. He went to Ole Miss. He's won. I think he'll be better here. Nobody's talking about it. So LSU signed good high school players. He never he did it, but he didn't do it like he do here.
The thing about Kiffin is, like, you just saw what happens when you have the guy that doesn't let him the boosters. When you have the guy that doesn't
See,
it's
that's the problem with him too. He's kind of his own guy. He's just sitting down looking down right now. That don't happen here. You gonna come in and you gonna be a big dog, but you gonna be. They got a lot of big dogs.
right. And when you do that, you don't get the honeymoon you need. You don't get the room to run to where
Say shit off the thing. I mean, do you think that's a good enough for him? I don't.
I don't either. I
I
mean,
don't think in big picture. Small picture, yeah, it looks like the greatest. And you can fork out $13 million. Now, I guarantee it's gonna be a 10-year contract.
I think it'll be more than 13. And his buyout goes up after the SEC championship game. So if they're going to get it done, they got to get
gotta
it
be
done.
another level. good coach that you don't have to spend that time. You know how many people sitting there would take it $6-8 million a year and running you?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Totally.
You also got guys that coach under Kirby Smart, Saban. Look at Dan Lane. He was a Saban, Kirby Smart guy.
Yeah. Damn it.
Well, I just can't believe a guy would coach like a place in Ole Miss hasn't made, and
I don't
sends
believe
people out
I
to
don't
go
believe
look at shit at Florida and LSU, and then it all gets back, and you got to go look at your players. The coach is going to be with us.
Oh, the players are just as much.
No, but still,
It's
the coach is still the king.
yeah. No, I know.
He sets the example for everybody else.
Somebody asked the players if Lane Kiffin is leaving to go to Florida or leaving to go to LSU, do you still want him to coach through the playoffs? And the players said yes. So, no. 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. JP producing. Busy hour this hour. Mason Batts from the mayor's office coming up in our next segment. Congressman Troy Carter coming up at 8:35. Before we get to anything else this hour, you know how we started off. The good folks over at 5 Star Printing and Signs bring you this day in history.
All right. Beginning in 1928.
Okay.
Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie is released. The first Mickey Mouse sound cartoon.
Yeah. Steamboat Willie, the precursor to Mickey.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
1928. Wow. 1956, Fats Domino appeared on the U.S. TV show Ed Sullivan.
Really?
Well, the Ed Sullivan Show, performing Blueberry Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. Little Louisiana native, right? He's from Louisiana.
Yes, he's New Orleans, born and raised.
Right. I just didn't know if he was born. I know
born, raised, and passed, all in New Orleans. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Got you. Yeah, good stuff there. 1978 in Jonestown, Guyana. 918 members of the People's Temple are murdered or commit suicide under the leadership of cult leader Jim Jones.
Yep.
Oof.
The Jonestown Massacre today in 1978, which, by the way,
terrible.
It's, you know how some phrases have really, really morbid beginnings?
Right.
You ever heard the phrase "drink the Kool-Aid"?
That's right.
That's what they did. That's where that phrase, like to drink the Kool-Aid today, means you're on board with something. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm drinking the Lane Kiffin Kool-Aid, right?
That's it, man.
But that's where it started.
You know what you shouldn't do?
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Is drink the Kool-Aid or listen to the audio from that. It's on YouTube.
The audio of there's audio?
There's audio.
Oh my God.
I know. It's disturbing. Hey, so in other news, 1993, Eddie Vedder arrested in New Orleans for disturbing the peace after a fight broke out in a bar.
No kidding.
Yeah. I think it was no, I'm not gonna. Yeah. Anyway, 1993, Nirvana recorded the infamous MTV Unplugged special.
Okay.
The acoustic.
Oh yeah, golly,
set.
that was so good.
Yep. Did a bunch of covers and things like that. And, straight away from their usual hits.
Yep.
2005, the Walk the Line, starring Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash and Reese Witherspoon as June Carter, was released today.
Okay.
Fantastic movie.
Very cool.
And in 2011, the video game Minecraft was released.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Hey, this day in 1979,
yeah,
Tulane Stadium began to be torn down.
Oh.
Yeah. Had the
Man.
run from ground was broken in 1924, and on this day in 1979, demolition began on the stadium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Moving on to birthdays?
Sure.
Oh, wow. It's Owen Wilson's birthday today. Wow. Also, comedian Mike Epps today. I hadn't heard from Mike Epps in a while. Right?
No.
Let's
fine
see.
with that.
Metallica guitarist Kurt Hammett as well today.
Had that down.
And I had, I know one more for you. Kevin Nealon today as well.
Kevin Nealon.
Yeah.
All right.
Along with Megan Kelly as well.
Okay. Singer Kim Wilde, add her to the list.
Oh,
I also want to add on to, I got so many of them over here. Alan Shepard, astronaut Alan Shepard's on that list. Big Poppy David Ortiz is 50 years old today. Warren Moon, it's his birthday today. Former outfielder Gary Sheffield. Rocket Ishmael, told you about Poppy. White Chocolate, Jason Williams, it's his birthday today as well.
Right. Let's see. Moving on to deaths here. Former President Chester A. Arthur.
Oh,
today.
Chester A. Arthur.
Chester A. Arthur.
The
oh man.
Let's
see.
Chester A. Arthur, the school where the bomb was supposed to be in Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yeah.
And
I don't
then-
know why I remember that.
Wow. And then
He was
Malcolm,
the 21st president. I didn't know he was the 21st president because of Die Hard with a Vengeance.
That's right. That's right. And then Malcolm Young, guitarist for AC/DC.
Okay.
2017.
All right, good stuff.
And anything else on your side?
Nope. I'm good on my Joseph Kennedy.
Okay.
The patriarch of the Kennedy family died on this day in 1969.
Yeah. As far as national days go, Mickey Mouse's birthday today as well.
Sure.
Because it's Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
But also National Entrepreneurs Day.
I'll take that as well.
Why not?
Yep. All right, we're at 8:11 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Quick moment to remind you about the folks over at Breck. Breck.org is where you're going to find them online. Breck.org online. Now is the time if you're looking for what to do with the kiddos over the holidays. Breck has camps for them. Learn more at Breck.org. But more than that, more than just the kids' camps, all the facilities that they have all around town, whatever it is you're into recreationally, Breck has got you covered. And oh, by the way, they've got that rapid response ticketing system, which I love, and I can't tell you about enough. The rapid response ticketing system, be the eyes and ears. You see something wrong at a Breck park, you just text it to them, 225-310-BRECK, 225-310-BRECK. Get it taken care of right there. I mean, they're out working all the time, but we can give them a little help with where to work, how to work smart and not work hard. 310-BRECK for that rapid response ticketing system. Quick break. We got Mason Batts next. There he is. Oh, dude, the fog is just brutal. Kill the mics. $8:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right, The people spoke, or at least 19% of them did on Saturday, voting down three propositions on the ballot for the library, for the Council on Aging, and for mosquito abatement. All three of which had a little bit coming off the top that would have gone over to the city parish to help with the budget. The initial plan was to pay down a lot of debt, which frees up more money on the backside. That came up short. So where do we go from here? Mason Batts with the mayor's office is in with us this morning. Mason, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good this morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm well. It was a somber Saturday night to be sure.
It certainly was. It certainly was.
Yeah, and this is one of those it's rare that I'm all in on like a ballot proposition, right? But this made so much sense to me. I've heard every argument against it possible, and at the same time, I just kept coming back around to why would you elect somebody if you're not going to trust them? I mean, and it's not like Sid Edwards has come to, asking for anything yet. This was the first big movement, and it fell short. So let's pick up the pieces. Let's talk about where we go from here. We'll get to layoffs in a minute, but are there other aspects of the budget that we might be seeing, get impacted here?
Well, yeah, I think you're certainly going to have to take an even stronger look than we took before. Everything has to be reviewed. I mean, talking about we spend a lot of money on things that people would consider fun and quality of life type things, parades, festivals, live after five, those types of things are all going to be under the microscope now to really see how important is this and really if we can afford it or not.
When you say if we can afford it, I'm assuming that everything that comes up under the microscope is going to be pitched to a number of people to see if, not to make it go away, but if there's another way to pay for it.
Yeah, like take Live After Five, for example.
That's where I want to start.
We were able to go out and secure, so they were only planning to do half the shows they usually do. And that was this year when we came into office. So what we did was we went out to folks in the business community, Mike Polito who owns MAP Construction, for example, and several others. And we went out and we asked them if they would sponsor Live After Five to bring it back to the full run of shows that you usually did. And they did. So half of Live After Five was covered by private business and industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the types of things you're going to have to go out and look at and say, okay, all right, what about the other half? Can we get more sponsors to the other half? So you have things like that. And then parades, some of these crews may have to up their dues, which is not, we don't want that. But the simple fact is we don't have the money to pay the police officers the overtime,
right?
To keep people safe at the parades. While that's not solidified yet, but that's the kind of things that we're looking at that has to be on the table now.
Mason Batts from the mayor's office is in with us. And yeah, that if you up the dues on Mardi Gras crews to pay for detail officers and whatnot, when you up those dues, you're going to have fewer people ride. When you have fewer people ride, you're going to have, shorter parades, fewer floats, maybe a combination of two parades in one day, or like, as opposed to having a Friday, Saturday, just having two on a Saturday. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah. And you certainly won't be able to have, two at the same time.
Right.
That really stretches us very thin at BRPD. So, none of it's good. We don't want to do any of this, but when the money is the money and we don't have it. So we've got to do what we have to do to keep the people of the city safe
mm-hmm.
and of the parish safe. And that comes first, and the fun stuff has to come second.
All right, let's talk layoffs, because this is going to impact probably, what is it, 233, I think was the number I heard.
Yeah, it's about 430 positions. About 200 of those are unfilled, but funded. So those will be the first to go. And then of those that are filled and funded, that's about 230. So about 230 real living, breathing people.
Do we know, like, specifically what departments they come from, how it breaks down like that? Because there's areas of government where I'm sure you have a better look at it than I do. Y'all just proposed the budget last week or week before last. So are there particular areas where we know we're fat?
Well, you have to look. Last year, they cut about $40 million out of the budget, and they didn't lay off a single person.
Right.
They froze a lot of positions that had been unfilled for many years, and there was some attrition. So I think a lot of the fat went by the wayside then.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's left right now is bone. Take transportation and drainage, for example. They're one of the ones that we're going to have to cut.
Yeah.
Pretty substantially. I mean, it's really only people left. And that's a department people see every single day.
Yep.
On my way here this morning, I had to stop at one of those red lights that was just blinking, because it's out of time, out of signal, and that's going to take longer now for people to get out there and fix those things than it would before. So that's the kind of things you're gonna see.
Um, Stepping away from like the 230 layoffs is going to be, it's going to sting a little bit. But backing up to, are we? I know nobody wants to make layoffs, but are we right sizing here?
I think there's an aspect of
okay.
that. I certainly think there's a part of this that maybe needs to be done.
Mhm.
I think you would certainly have liked to have done it in a more controlled environment than kind of this fire sale overnight. But people see, oh, the city has 4,000 employees. We don't have 4,000 employees.
Right.
Um, we're laying off 33% of our workforce, excluding police and fire. That's substantial.
Yeah.
While yes, there is definitely going to be some fat in that and some good things I think can come out of this. I think we'd have rather done it in a more controlled environment. After Thrive passes, be more methodical in the way we did it. That way, services wouldn't be as interrupted. So we may have to go through some hard times and some growing pains.
Yeah.
Very quickly. When Elon Musk came in and Doge was kind of all happening all at one time.
Right.
There was a lot of grants they had to go and put back. So I think it's going to be like, so we'll have some services that'll be impacted, but maybe once we see it, we can go and put it back. So it'll be a little more challenging over the next year, but maybe it'll be some good that'll come out of it.
In the meanwhile, a big chunk of the Thrive dollars were going to go to pay down debt. Is that completely off the table now? Because we still need to be financially or fiscally responsible, and making cuts, cutting fat, cutting bone. That is a day-to-day management thing, not a long-term planning thing. How far off of our projected track are we because of the failure of Thrive?
Well, we're going to have to continue doing what we've been doing the past several years, paying that almost $10 million of the people's money that they're paying for services to pay off that debt. And meanwhile, the library will now use that money to operate over the next year. So there's no hope to pay off that debt because that money will be gone because the library won't have any reoccurring revenue in 2026.
We do need to talk about that part of it as well. In fact, let's do that right now.
Okay.
Because that was a big part of Thrive, was they were renewals of millages, and the people said no to all 3 renewals. Now, that doesn't mean that the library loses funding as of today, does it?
Well, December 31st.
Okay. Then we need to get them on to talk about what that looks like moving forward. Like, how quickly can they get back on the ballot again?
Yeah, I think the earliest they can be on the ballot is in April. I mean, but they have to move extremely quickly. I think they'd have to be approved by mid-January, and there's not a lot of council meetings left. And you have to be on twice, and it has to be in the paper and all that kind of stuff per state law.
Yeah.
And then they have to do a bond commission. So there's a lot of moving parts here. There's a ballot in April, and there's a ballot in May, and I think there's a ballot in June. All 3 of those, I think they could get on.
Now, Council on Aging mosquito abatement, they had a year's buffer there, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So now they're in the renewal year in 2026.
Okay, so they're okay for now.
They're okay.
Library is a much more dire scenario. Now, there were a number of people who voted no on Thrive, would say, if you gave me clean library millage without the city parish taking any, I would vote for it. So it's time for them to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, that I think a lot of people would say that.
And this has been one of the more frustrating parts, is that at 11 Mills, the library had a little. They're the ones that said, "Take our money, please, please." It's great to have great libraries, but it's useless to have great libraries that are flooded.
Yeah, or in libraries where you can't hire anybody because you have an HR at the city.
You're right.
That can't get you through because the staff is so low. You can't buy any books because you have a purchasing department that is totally inefficient with the current operations we're running, and that's only going to get worse. Now, I don't want to be doom and gloom, Brian. We're going to do everything we have to do to make sure that this city and this parish continues to run the way it needs to go. We have a lot of other opportunities. This was a bump in the road. Sure, we would have liked it to pass, but ultimately, we're going to keep fighting. We're going to rise above this.
No, I understand, but it's a pretty damn big bump.
It's a big bump.
There's bumps in the road, and then, there's bumps in the road, and then there's nobody in transportation to call to fix said bumps. So
that's right.
We got, that might be a more apt analogy than we think. We got Mason Batson with us from the mayor's office. Timeline this for me. What are we looking at as far as how long it's going to take to get through 230 people losing their jobs?
So in our office, we started layoffs yesterday. The mayor said on Saturday night that he was going to lead this by example.
Mhm.
And yesterday morning, he took action to start that. So we had to lay off 4 people in our office. That was about 25% of our staff, just in our office. So it started yesterday. Now, for most other departments, that will not happen until January 1st, and it will be 100% done by Q1, end of Q1 next year. So about March 20th.
Okay.
And we don't want to lay off people before Christmas. I don't think anyone wants to do that. But you may have some voluntary layoffs starting on December 1st,
Okay.
but no one will be forced to go home until January 1st.
Okay. So we're looking at January 1st through the end of Q1 to get through all 230. In the meanwhile, is that enough? Like, is that 230 people? Is that going to be okay? Now we're back in the black again.
Yeah, that'll get us stable. We won't be rich or by any means, but that'll put us in the black, where we need to be to have a balanced budget for 2026.
Okay. Other cuts that are going to be on the way as as we look forward to 2026, or as the budget talks get really underway. There's a budget hearing tomorrow night.
There is.
In fact, at the Metro Council chambers, 4:30 p.m. tomorrow. If anybody wants to attend, or if you go to brla.gov, you can watch the whole thing online. As the budget talks get underway, have you heard anything between Saturday and now about how those talks are going to change?
Well, we've had some discussions about it, ways we can move money around. In particular, the district attorney, the public offender, the coroner, some of those constitutional offices. That 230 number that we're throwing around today does not include them. So if we have to cut the district attorney by 11%, which is what's being proposed right now, he's going to have to lay off a substantial amount of people himself.
Right.
And so that'd be in addition to that. Same thing for the coroner and same thing for the public defender. So I think it's looking at ways that we can maybe move some money around, maybe 100,000 here, 100,000 there. Now that 100,000 may come from Live After 5, for example. And so
Right.
and there's not even $100,000 at Live After 50,000 from Live After 5.
Right.
Give it to the district attorney, but maybe that means he can keep an ADA on, and we can keep the justice system moving a little bit more. So it's going to have to come from some of those more fun things that I think are going to be hard on the people.
Can we pivot over to a little postmortem on Saturday? Have we learned the why?
Yeah, I think the one thing we saw was a lot of distrust, particularly in the African American community. They voted against it pretty substantially.
Okay.
Only about 32% voted for it. If we'd had a little higher numbers than that, we'd have won. The one solace you could take from all this is how close we got. I think it's sometimes harder to get that close and come up short than to just get blown out, because it really showed a lot of people were willing to vote for it. And we were just 2 points shy of getting over the line. When you look at the history of how bad some of these things, Central had a tax for their schools in April. It lost 60-40. Zachary had something for their schools. It lost 60-40. The district attorney lost 60-40. So those things were all very unpopular, but clearly this had a little bit more support. And I think that's what was a little bit harder about it, is when you saw early voting come in, we kind of thought we had a pretty good shot, but low turnout certainly hurt us, which we always knew that.
Because it was a difference of fewer than 3,500 votes. You talk percentages all the time, but it was a difference of fewer than 3,500 votes on the library one in particular, and the library was the largest margin.
That's right. The library was the largest margin, and it cascaded down. The Council on Aging was less than a percentage, and maybe 1,100 votes, something like that.
We got 2 minutes left with Mason Batts from the mayor's office. I appreciate you making some time this morning to kind of go over it here. Within those last 2 minutes, let's talk about the potential for, this not being doom and gloom, the potential for some enthusiasm on the back end. At the end of the day, and I mentioned right sizing earlier, at the end of the day, this is a 30-plus year hole that's been dug. Even if it hurts, we're digging ourselves back out.
That's exactly right. Thrive was, some people call it a short-term fix. It wasn't a short-term fix, but it was a small fix to a small problem. We have a $1 billion budget. Everyone talks about the $1 billion budget.
Right.
Well, we only control about 300 million of that. This was to fix a problem in the 300 million category.
Right.
So now let's take a look at the $1 billion category. A large portion of that is OPEB and the unaccrued liability.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could find a substantial amount of resources, and we're going to be looking at those things to pay off that debt, we could have a lot more than $21 million to do services in the city. Now, that's a hard lift. Where can we find those monies? But I think now you start you get more creative than you were before, and I think everyone rallies behind that creativity.
This was creative.
This was creative, but you have to get more creative. At some point, you know, you're going to run a play, and the play is going to make it in the end zone.
Understood.
You know, maybe the Thrive wasn't totally executed well in the way it should have been, but I think we have more chances.
I don't know if there was a messaging problem or not. I don't feel like there was, but there's certain things where people are just going to glaze over and tune out, and that kind of falls into that bucket.
And it was very confusing. It had a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah.
200 words.
Right.
Used up
And
all
the word
200
thrive
words.
was never in them.
The word thrive
Yeah.
was never in it.
I'm with you.
So you had those challenges.
He's Mason Batts with the mayor's office. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much, Brian.
We'll talk soon. Here's news. 837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time for us to check in up in Washington, D.C. Our nation's capital is back open for business again. Time for DC Current. Joining us now, Congressman Troy Carter. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. So it's back to work. I mean, you never really took off, but I mean, it's back to work for everybody now. What's it like in our nation's capital or on Capitol Hill specifically with everything back open again?
A lot of tension, a lot of anxiety, a lot of expectation. There's a mounting amount of energy around the Epstein files on both sides of the aisle, with portions of emails that are surfacing. As you see, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a once staunch supporter of President Trump, has shifted course because of the information that is slowly becoming available relative to the Epstein files. So there's a lot of anticipation on our vote today, which will be telling to advance the next step of releasing these files.
Okay, so gotta check the barometer first. Where are you at on this vote?
I've always been for transparency. So regardless of who's in it, my position has been Republican, Democrat, or other. If you're involved in abusing or violating young women, young people, you should be brought to justice. And there's just no gray area there. No one is above the law, and no one should step to such horrific, illegal, immoral acts and get away with it.
Couldn't agree more. Now, there is a concern about those who, the victims whose names aren't going to get out there. How can we navigate this to make sure they're protected?
Like in every court case, we have literally thousands, if not tens of thousands, of cases of child abuse every single day that makes its way through our judicial and system, and those names are redacted. The young people's name are protected. We will have to do the same thing to make sure that we don't add insult to injury. People who already been victimized to be victimized again by having their names paraded through the press and social media. So that will be a measure that will be taken very seriously to ensure that we protect those who've already been harmed and violated by these acts, that they don't once again relive it in the press.
Now, 50,000 pages, as I understand it, 50,000 pages has already been released. How much more is there?
My understanding is there's a lot. This was not an overnight enterprise. This went on for a very long time, and it involves a lot of people. And it's amazing that such an immoral, unethical, illegal, horrible thing was able to happen right under our noses for so long, and to have such prominent people be a part of it. Right. It's amazing. It's evil, and it is high time that it is brought to justice. Epstein is paying whatever price he pays in death, and the rest who are still alive have to pay their price in life with the facing the judicial powers to bring them to justice. When you think about the depth and how tight this had to be, that nothing got out, that no one talked about it, that there was no investigation, that this was able to go for as long as it did. I'm surprised that there aren't even more documents. And it appears that Mr. Epstein, in his true evil form, kept very good notes. Not only in the way of mail and emails and text messages, but also actual video footage. So we will see what all this looks like, and unfortunately, the scars that many of the victims have had to endure will hopefully get some closure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope so. How much of this, and we were talking with Congressman Troy Carter, DC Current, presented by LABI. How much of this, Congressman, is, and I don't know how much you know or how much you've, background you've gotten on it, but is this all written files, or are we talking like compilations of videotapes as well? Because I have a feeling that like there's going to be a certain percentage of the population, right or left, there's going to be a certain percentage of the population that says pics or it didn't happen.
Now, my understanding of that, there's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
That there's written, pictures, video, audio. There's a lot of stuff. Is my understanding. I have not seen them, but my understanding is that it is a plethora of information in every medium you could imagine.
How quickly can this get done? Vote on the House, vote on the Senate, get it signed off. Because the president said last night, let's get this out and get it over with. How quickly can it all get done?
Truth be told, it could happen as fast as we want it to.
Okay.
It could happen this week. Now, if you start seeing delays, then you know that there's some other things at play. The truth of the matter is, we can vote today. We can send it to the Senate. We've seen what happened. You see how quickly we were able to, once we finally had a measure for the CR, how quickly it moved. So yeah, it can move very fast. We can move it today. We can send it to the Senate and be on the president's desk before the end of the week, if that is the true wishes of the powers that be.
Okay, because I mean, while y'all are capable of multitasking, you do more than one thing at a time for sure. This is going to suck all the oxygen out of the room until it is, until it reaches its destination.
That's exactly right, and it's sucking all the oxygen out of the American people because, regardless of your party, and I say this all the time on your show, everyone has a right to their own ideological views. It doesn't mean that either one is right or wrong. It's different. And those of us on our side, on my side, I believe we're right. On your side, on the other side, rather, they believe they're right. And so we go back and forth on any given day. We both can be wrong. But what you don't have the right is to violate someone's civil liberties. What you don't have the right is to take advantage of underage children. What you don't have the right is to deny people access to health care or to benefits that are important to their everyday living. In the Epstein case, this is a denial of the rights of young people who are not in a position to make decisions on their own. They're children, and we have laws against that. And to think that the very people who are empowered to make those laws, enforce those laws, adjudicate those laws, may have been a part of breaking those laws is a crime at the highest level.
We got Congressman Troy Carter with us. Let's put a button in the Epstein files for right now, as that is in the process. I understand. What is it? Around 1 o'clock this afternoon, y'all are expected to vote.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move over to the rest of the business of the nation.
2 o'clock my time.
2 o'clock your time. Yeah, 1 o'clock here here in Baton Rouge. The rest of the business of the nation, as things got opened back up, as I understand it, got a little short-term reprieve on NFIP.
Yeah. So it's a short term. It's not as long as the bill that myself and my Republican colleague Mike Ezell has, but it's a step in the right direction. It at least gives us relief and it gives people an opportunity to go forward with making sure that they're able to continue the closing process. If they were in the middle of trying to close on a property, buy a property, sell a property, it also allows them to continue to have their flood insurance without interruption. As you know, we had two different bills. One was a bill that would have extended the National Flood Insurance Program so it would not be subject to the issue with the shutdown. But then the second one is the one that closed the loophole of what happens when you have a lapse of service for more than 30 days, that you would be potentially subject to higher rates, deeper inspections, yada, yada, yada. This bill would grant a grandfathering, if you will, to allow that period to be extended so people would not have to go through those extra steps. This is a short-term solution, but remember, this bill only extends until January 30th,
right,
when we have to then come up with a new CR. So I'm hopeful that our bill, the bill that Mike Ezell and I, a Republican from Mississippi, have sponsored, will be able to get a hearing on the floor and hopefully passes, notwithstanding all the other actions, which will give relief. Remember, when the National Flood Insurance Program stops, properties can't be in those areas where flood zones are prevalent. Properties can't be sold. Mortgage lenders can't loan money. The people can't move into their homes. People can't sell their homes. Major developments that are awaiting financing can't go forward if flood insurance is a part of it. This is, as much as it is danger to homeowners, it is also dangerous to our overall economy because it brings our economy to a screeching halt in those areas of mortgages and finance and those that need national flood insurance programs, which is everyone in the Gulf Coast pretty much. So we will continue to push forward, albeit this reprieve helps. It doesn't get us where we need to be. So Mike Ezel and I will continue to push forward with our legislation to have a permanent fix to the National Flood Insurance Program.
Last one before we get you out of here. We got less than a minute to go with Congressman Troy Carter. And that is, I'm going to take it kind of back around to the Epstein files a little bit, but how much is that getting in the way of negotiations on the healthcare front?
Everything, the Epstein file has been, some would suggest intentionally, others would say just unfortunate. It has been a huge distraction.
Yeah.
It has been a huge distraction. And it takes away every time we have to deal with something that we should not. Everyone should agree that let the chips fall where they may. Whoever's on this list, shame on you, and you've got to pay the price for the misdeeds that you may have been a part of. That's the nature of the beast. Those things done in the dark will eventually come to light. The American people need us to be not only shepherding the facts of the Epstein files, but they need us also to be advancing health care and other issues that are important to the American people across the board, regardless of your party affiliation. Government and Congress is a deliberative body. It's time for us to get back to deliberating, debating, and passing legislation.
He is Congressman Troy Carter. We do DC Current about this time every week. We always appreciate the time, sir. Talk to you next week.
God bless you, my friend. Have a great week.
You do the same. We're coming up on, I got him out before 8:50. I mean, it's a new dawn. It's a new day. Here's your money now.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
Bro.
I didn't even bother counting you down the last 2 minutes. I'm like, we're not going to make it. And look at us. Look at us.
Am I hearing Eric B. and Rakim? I was glad I'm not going crazy. Don't sweat the technique is what I was hearing. Yeah. What was Mike Johnson cut for? What was it again? What was the title? Because I threw away that paper. That's what we're doing here. Yeah. Hey, how are you? He just went that way. Okay. Go back around. Yeah, this little hallway that's right on the other side of this wall, there, and then to the right. And I'm stepping back in at 11. Once you're done, I got to pre-record a sponsored segment. So after you're off, I'm gonna come back in Monday morning, Medical Monday. So once you're off, it's yeah. Fucking A, right? We are.
When I come, I ain't gonna do two.
No.
Like he goes to tape or put something else, and I hate doing that. I think that's bad. And New Orleans is coming too. So we got that. I'm trying to work on a couple of them.
Okay. You going on Crouere station? Well, you said New Orleans is coming.
No, I mean, New Orleans is taking the third off.
Oh, okay.
So my biggest three markets will have the third off.
Let's go. More moon. Bees with the bees, hombre. $8:56 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. One segment to go before we hand off the Moon Griffon and the Moon Griffon show. Speaking of the Moon Griffon show, Speaker Mike Johnson was on with them yesterday. We'll have a little more audio from that in just a minute. Before that, though, got to remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. With the FAA opening things back up. Actually, while the closure was going on, there was really only one flight out of Baton Rouge that was really affected at all. And that was a daily flight to Atlanta that flew out early in the morning. But with everything open back up, we're clean and green on flybtr.com. Arrivals, departures, we're looking good here. Look, if you've got business travel, if you've got personal travel, give the Baton Rouge Metro Airport a look. It is right in here in our own backyard. So you're supporting a local business first and foremost. Number two, take a look at the full cost of your trip, not just the plane ticket itself, but taking your time to drive all the way down to New Orleans, the exorbitant parking rates down there, The experience with TSA down there versus up here is beyond, like, it's not even comparable. Flybtr.com. Check it out. They've got, a direct flight to DC every single day, come back same night. All right. Numerous options are available for you at flybtr.com. All right. Like we said, Speaker Mike Johnson was on with Moon yesterday. They talked about the Epstein files. They talked about the government reopening and whatnot. But also, Moon asked Speaker Johnson about election year priorities. So, what can we expect now that the government's open again? We've got short-term CR here, but let's look beyond January 30th.
We got to work on that cost of living. The affordability is the new word of the day, right? We have been working on it. When we passed our big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut that you and I talked about, most of those provisions really take effect in January. So you heard the Treasury Secretary over the weekend, Scott Besson, out talking on the interview saying people will feel the positive effects of this in the first and second quarter of the year, well in time for that election that comes up for the midterm in November. And we planned all that and we knew it would happen. But we got a lot more to do. We got to bring down the cost of health care. So the end of the year is finished appropriations, National Defense Authorization Act, other must-pass legislation, and then the first part of next year, we'll be working every day to bring down the cost of healthcare and the cost of groceries, and we have the plans to do that. The Democrats are the ones that put us in this mess. With all their spending like drunken sailors. We're getting out of it. It just takes a little time to do it.
I'm curious to see how they're going to bring down the cost of groceries because that's directly affected by tariffs. So, I'll be very interested to see how that plays out on that front. We already know the plans on the healthcare front. In fact, earlier in the show, we talked with Joel White from the Council for Affordable Health Coverage. We talked with him about that earlier in the show, and it's about HSAs and putting the power back in the hands of the consumer, putting the power back in the hands of the free market. On the grocery front, that's going to be a completely different battle. All right, if you missed anything at all, it's available on demand at talk1073.com right after the show is over. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Attorney Franz Borghardt in for a little legally served. We'll have State Representative Dixon McMakin. We got a good slate for you tomorrow. We'll see you then. All right, Facebook, I got to get out so we can turn around for Moon.